My starting point is the ending point of a doomed World Cup campaign. I was sitting in a television studio that night, analysing the game for RTE. Across the corridor, Keith Andrews was carrying out the same role for Sky Sports. I was critical of O'Neill and Keane that night, and when I was subsequently told that Keith Andrews had also called the Ireland management out, I didn't bat an eyelid. He is just doing his job, I thought. I knew Keith. I had worked with him. He is honest, confident and knowledgeable. The fact he was critical of a tactical blunder is a reflection of his say-it-as-he-sees-it nature. Now there is a difference between what Keith said about Keane and O'Neill that night and what Roy Keane has done to him subsequently. In an interview with the Sunday Independent, Keane said, "I've heard a lot of bullshitters over the last 10 years, and Keith Andrews is up there with the best of them." His old pal, Martin O'Neill, recently joined in when asked about Andrews' suitability for the Brentford job. "It is not as easy as sitting in a pundit's chair and criticising someone who, in all honesty, had a much better career than he had," said O'Neill of Andrews, referencing the fact Keith played at the bottom end of the league when O'Neill was winning the European Cup. As an example of pure football snobbery, O'Neill hit the jackpot with that remark. Whereas Andrews was analytical of their management, O'Neill and Keane made their criticism personal. Keane made another snide remark last weekend ahead of Brentford's opening game against Nottingham Forest. "Andrews was someone who talks a good game," he said, the implication being that he does not, in effect, speak with consideration. Well, that's where Keith differs from Roy Keane, because it is Keane who is a bullshitter. What's more, he is a bully. Now, behaving that way didn't do him any harm when he was a player. Both his teammates and his opponents danced to his tune. Yet while that led to his greatness as a player, the continuation of that behavior in his post-playing days has seriously diminished his credibility as a person. Look at what he has become, a caricature of himself, doing television ads which play on his intimidating nature, one where he frightens a window cleaner, another where he is rude to a barista. Let's call this out for what it is. He is glorifying bullying in these ads. He is doing them for monetary gain, making a few quid out of his persona. There's no class in that. Nor is there any class in going after a young Irish coach who is starting out in his managerial career. Given his status as a serial Premier League winner, someone who was a superb player, Keane should be bigger than this, and so should O'Neill. Neither man forgot the criticism they received without ever accepting the fact they did a bad job when they were with Ireland. They should, as a former captain and a former manager of Ireland, want to see the national team do well and to see Irish players and managers excel. Let's face it, there has been a huge shortage of Irish managers in the Premier League. The fact a new one has just arrived should be a cause for celebration, or at the very least, hope. What if Andrews turns out to be an excellent choice? Think of the doors that could open for emerging Irish players. Think of the future. We could have our next Ireland manager here. Instead we have someone with status, which Keane undoubtedly has as a former United captain, criticising Andrews from the off. That's seriously undermining, because the Brentford board will hear those comments, as will their players and fans. Words do have an impact, especially when they come from a man of Keane's standing. I don't consider him a pleasant character at all. As a television analyst, there is no depth to his commentary, and in terms of his personality, he is clearly thin-skinned. And that's before we address the hypocrisy. Both he and O'Neill were critical of pundits when they were in charge of Ireland, yet they deliver their criticism from a pundit's chair, Keane at Sky, O'Neill at TalkSport.